Reorganization meeting of the Board of School Directors of the Upper Darby School District will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Encore singer Callan Clark.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you.
I will now roll call the board. Dr. Hay?
Present.
Mr. Desnoyers?
Present.
Mr. Warsavage?
Present.
Mrs. Williams?
Present.
Mr. Fields?
Present.
Mr. Neal?
Present.
Ms. Mitchell?
Present.
Ms. Curry?
Present.
Mr. Brown?
Present.
This meeting is in compliance with the school code and is in accordance with the following notice, of which you have all been apprised and received copies. In accordance with Section 401 of the School Code 1949 as amended, you are hereby notified that the Board of School Directors of the Upper Darby School District will meet the first week of December for the proposed organization and election of officers for the ensuing year and for general purposes. The first order of business is nomination and election of a temporary president. I will entertain nominations now. Do I have a motion?
I motion for Meredith Haig.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I now have a motion and a second. Is there a motion to close nominations?
I motion to close nominations.
Is there a second to close the nominations?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close nominations. All those in favor of closing nominations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we have a vote for Dr. Haig to be temporary president and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
David Neal abstain.
Okay, we have 4 in favor, 1 abstaining. Motion passes. The following is a list of legally elected and appointed and qualified school directors. The terms expire for the first Monday of December of 2023. We have Gina Curry, Donald Fields, Meredith Haig, David Neal, and Damian Warsavage. We then have terms expiring the first Monday in December of 2025, Edward Brown, Neil Desnoyers, Rachel Mitchell, and Deborah Williams. I will now ask each board member to affirm they have read, understand, and will follow the principles of governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct. As I call your name, please state the following. I have read, understand, and will follow the principles of governance and leadership and the PSBA Code. Dr. Haig.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mr. Desnoyers.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mr. Warsavage.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mrs. Williams.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mr. Fields.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Board Secretary Rogers. I have read, understand, and will follow the principles of governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mrs. Mitchell.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mrs. Curry.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Mr. Brown.
I have read, understand, and will follow the principles for governance and leadership and the PSBA Code of Conduct.
Next, we have the oath of office, and I will hand it over to our temporary president, Dr. Haig.
Will Edward Brown please come forward?
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
That I will support.
that I will support,
Obey.
obey,
And defend.
the
The
Constitution
Constitution. Of the United States.
of the United States
And.
and
The Constitution.
the Constitution
Of the Commonwealth.
of the Commonwealth,
And. That I will discharge.
that I will discharge
The duties.
of
my office.
With fidelity.
With fidelity.
Mr. Desnoyers, please come forward.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Ms. Rachel Mitchell, please come forward.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey,
obey,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth,
of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations. Deborah Williams?
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations, Deborah.
Our next item on the agenda would be nominations for the election of the president.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. I will open the floor to nominations of the president of this board. Do I hear a nomination at this time?
I nominate Edward Brown for president.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? If not, may I ask for a motion that the nominations be closed?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? The nominations for president are closed. Mr. Secretary, would you poll the board, please, on a vote for Mr. Edward Brown as president of the board of this board for 1 year?
Dr. Haig,
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers,
Aye.
Mr. Warsavage,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Fields,
Aye.
Mr. Neal, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mrs. Curry,
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Congratulations, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. The floor is now open for nominations for vice president. Do I hear a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Don Fields for vice president.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? If not, may I ask for a motion that the nominations be closed?
So moved.
And a second? Second. Thank you. All in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? The nominations for vice president are closed. Mr. Secretary, would you please poll the board on a vote for Don Fields as vice president of this board for 1 year?
Dr. Haig,
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers,
Aye.
Mr. Warsavage,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Fields,
Aye.
Mr. Neal,
A resounding aye.
Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mrs. Curry,
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Fields.
Mr. Brown, please take the chair.
I just wanted to thank my colleagues for allowing me to serve this board for another year. I take the role seriously, and I look forward to doing a good job in addressing all of our needs. Thank you. Our board and committee meetings will continue to be scheduled for the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, with the exception for the months of April, June, and December, where the meetings will be scheduled for the first and third Tuesday of the month. If the schedule meets with the board's approval, I would like to direct the board secretary to post and advertise the 2022 meeting schedule. All those in favor of the meeting schedule, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please state your name and say I oppose. The motion carries, Mr. Secretary. Welcome to the combined work session / regular in-person and virtual meeting for December 7, 2021. The first item on the work session agenda is a performance by the Upper Darby High School Encore Singers.
I would like to thank the Board of School Directors for their constant support of not only me, but for the programs that we produce for the community, for the school district, and just for the world to see. It is my pleasure this evening to have this be our actual true first public performance. This particular group for me is very, very special because when we began the year, we didn't know, we didn't see, we didn't hear what they could become. And what they have become is truly exemplary. They have risen above being home, being on camera. Please turn your cameras on. This is a performance class. That's what I said for almost an entire year. They are A+ in my heart and in my mind. And coming up soon, this Friday, we will be performing at St. Dorothy's Church at 7:30 p.m. And the following Friday, the winter concert here at 7 o'clock. I would like to thank my friend, Dr. Daniel McGarry, Dr. Manfrey, all of Central staff, and our wonderful principal, Kelly Simone. Without the support of all the, hang on, not done yet. Without the support of all the people whose names I mentioned, none of this could take place. So tonight I am playing double duty as accompanist and director, and I present to you two songs that I think will inspire you. The first is Do You Hear What I Hear? And the second is Winter Wonderland.
A song, high above the tree with Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. It's such a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He's gonna sing a love song as we roll along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. We're walking, yeah, we're talking. We're walking in a winter wonderland. Winter wonderland, yeah!
I just wanted to say to Barb and to the students that are here, I know for many of us, it really goes without saying that year in and year out, this highlights one of the most special board meetings, not just because of reorganization, because those of us who have been in this school district for so long listen to your voices and it makes us feel okay. And each year in December, led by Barb Benglian, we get to see talent and passion collide on this stage every December. And I just wanted to say thank you, Barb, and to you. Those of us who have been in this district for a long time, December is a highlight, and it really speaks to you, Barb, as such an unbelievable music teacher, and to all of you, the students, are such a reflection of that talent. And I said to Barb tonight, seeing her for all these years do it, she did both tonight. She played the piano, and she led you. And I really think tonight, it really dawned on me what an unbelievable teacher she is, that you gave that back to her in your performance with allowing her to play that piano, and you showed that back to her. So let's give it up again for Barb.
So much talent in our district. The second item on the work session agenda is a presentation of the Unsung Hero Award. In 2002, the Upper Darby School Board established its first ever Board Leadership Award to go to an unsung hero within our school community. All past recipients have served as role models for our students and community by providing exemplary, caring service in a loyal, dependable, friendly, and humble manner. No one could fit that description more than the Upper Darby School District nurses. Let's give them a round of applause. In 1974, President Ford proclaimed the fourth Wednesday in January as National School Nurse. I'm going to take this off. I'm sorry, I'm dying. President Ford proclaimed the fourth Wednesday in January as National School Nurse Day. School nurses are now nationally recognized and celebrated for contributing to the health and well-being of the nation's students. As you can all agree, the Upper Darby School District nurses are the critical link between the health of our students and education. They are the on-site health providers with expertise in school-aged children. They are responsible for applying preventive measures and for the daily health management of thousands of our students. Their duties are diverse and complex, since they also assist in the management of chronic conditions such as diabetes and asthma, just to name a few. They have to evaluate, triage, and treat a wide variety of community vaccinators. Leaning on their extensive experience in vaccine education and administration, school nurses provide COVID-19 vaccinations to students, staff, and local community members. Our school nurses went above and beyond in making themselves available at the on-site vaccination clinics in our district, overwhelmingly supporting the board and district administration in offering these resources to our students, their families, and the general public. The role of school nurses is vital to the health of our students, teachers, and communities. We send major thanks to your service in general, and especially over the last year. Next year, we'll probably have similar challenges, and we're sure that the Upper Darby School District nurses will be there ready to serve. Until then, and now, we appreciate you. We salute you. We thank you. You are truly our heroes. Congratulations on this accomplishment.
As I fumble the award, thank God it wasn't Crystal this year. So I do want to say to the nurses, I know in every forum that we get to, and Heidi, we probably have the most interaction with you. Unfortunately for you, you've got to deal with central office the most. To your families that are here, I think it's wonderful. You know, I see young kids and relatives that are here, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Everybody has done a tremendous job navigating this pandemic. But without you, without our nurses, whether it's been vaccination clinics, taking on additional challenges. I know Ed Marshallak, Chris Puglisi, the principals, we would not have been able to open our schools and keep our schools open without you. And I mean that from the bottom of our hearts. You have helped us do this, and it's been unbelievable. And I want to thank you so much. From central office and the board, you guys have been outstanding. So thank you very much.
The general job description of our nurses is to implement and to administer the mandatory health screenings, you know, weight and height and vision.
6th grade needs physicals, 7th grade needs dentals, immunizations that you're checking constantly.
We have state mandated reports that we have to do about immunizations, how many people are compliant.
But they also do all kinds of support to help staff, students, parents.
I'm here to help support the kids, support the staff, make sure that they all remain healthy and safe throughout the school year.
Just the kids that come in either not feeling well, they got hurt.
We see kids that are sick or have boo-boos. We manage food allergies, other life-threatening allergies, diabetics, and that's pretty much our job most years.
They're always a part of our day-to-day operations. More so behind the scenes, not maybe in the center, but now with the pandemic, they became much more of a central focus.
I was aware of the news and the spread overseas, and I felt like I could see it coming here quickly. And by, I think it was March 13th, we were all sent home.
The day they told us to pack up our things and go home for 2 weeks was the start of realizing it was going to be different.
It was like, oh, we're just going to close for 2 weeks. And I remember thinking, like, are we really? I felt like it was probably going to be a little longer than that.
It was a little nerve-wracking in the beginning. It was a lot of responsibility, you know? Like I said, our job usually is to keep the school healthy and safe, and this was like a whole new level of how do I keep this safe from day to day when it's, you know, so different from a normal year.
Even in a remote setting where we were, you know, from March until the end of last school year, the 1920 school year, that we still wanted to be a support to families when it comes to health and wellness.
The nurses worked remotely from their homes, keeping up on all the things that I mentioned earlier, immunizations, checking in on our kids that are chronically ill that we're aware of, maybe have asthma or maybe have trouble focusing, and we knew that they would have trouble at home as well, so we tried to keep in touch with as many of the families as we could.
It was more emotional support because people are asking questions. They're nervous, they're scared.
But it was like a huge learning curve every day, trying to figure it out, and I still get like nervous thinking about it. It was very stressful.
It was, all right, well, what are we changing? Oh, we have to do this, then we have to do that. Oh, well, wait a minute, now next week, now we're doing something slightly different.
Holding our meetings and trying to figure out what does nursing look like in a pandemic, in a school, because we wanted the kids back. And how could we do that safely? That was what a lot of our conversations revolved around.
When we came back from being virtual, even prior to that, the fact that we had the quarantine rules, the changing of the guidance almost weekly, and the changing of the data and the masking requirements, they were really on the front lines handling many of these situations.
The nurses were, in the building from the first couple months, and then again in January, getting everything set up, running through how to space out the students in the hallways and how to make sure that the isolation room was set up that we now needed, and we never had one of those before. And then, the conversation kept evolving. Do we do testing? What does it look like if we do COVID testing in school?
I don't know what we would have done without their expertise and their guidance. In particular, the antigen testing program, they have been fabulous with dropping everything, learning about it.
We did training through the DCIU. And there was also a lot of stuff online so that we were able to kind of have a basic idea of what was happening and then to go and do it in person.
Testing over 600-700 kids and staff a week in the district at our highest point.
The kids were so brave when they were coming in for their testing every week. And they were game for it. Whatever it took to be here, the kids were like, we will do this.
Coupled with that, we had a couple of vaccination clinics we've run here with our students, and with our community. And our school nurses dropped, again, everything to help out.
They one day came to us and said, we have this vaccination clinic happening, who wants to be there? And we all were like, we're all there.
Every nurse here was just like, oh, absolutely. How can we help out? What can we do?
They all raised their hand, willing to come and volunteer their time on 2 Saturdays to administer the vaccines to almost 2,000 people.
It was really a way for us to give back and to help out the immediate need of what's around us.
It was like one of the first times where everything was really upbeat and positive. People were excited to come through. We were excited to be giving the vaccinations. It was like a chance to get out there and make a little bit of a difference.
We were all like, this was great, when can we do it again?
Since then, they've had a vaccine clinic for the 16-year-olds that the high school nurses have done. I think that they even had one for the 12 and up, now that that's become available.
Again, it's a testament to their desire is to help with this pandemic, and help our community and help our school district.
One of the positive things that has come out of the pandemic, the recognition and appreciation and an opportunity for nurses all across the world to really shine.
I think they've noticed that we're in the buildings. Honestly, I don't think we've been noticed before.
Before we were kind of behind the scenes. We kind of did our job. If you didn't notice us, it meant we were doing it really well. And now we're in the forefront and we're holding these conversations and everyone's asking us questions and we're trying to provide the best information we can. So we're definitely a little bit more out there than previous years.
We all know when we're not feeling well, we want somebody who's kind and compassionate and also knows what they're talking about, and that's our nurses. And so to think that our students and our staff and even our families who, when they're not feeling well or they're uncertain about something, they can go to one of our very caring and talented nurses, that makes a big difference.
And hopefully everyone does recognize how special they are to this district and to our students and our families.
The final item on the work session agenda is a presentation of the annual financial statement audit for the year ending June 30, 2021 by Mr. William McGowan, CPA of Baker Tilly.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow, and I think they heard that I was coming up next to talk about accounting, so they all left. So, but I'll be brief, and I'll continue with the good news vibe of the evening. As you mentioned, we come up before you every year to present the results of our audit, and each of the board members received a copy of the district's financial statements, which includes a copy of several reports that we issue thereon. The first report covers the basic financial statements. They're listed, there's probably 10, 15 of them. They're listed in the table of contents of that report. Our report thereon is a unmodified or clean report. It is the highest form of assurance we can provide with respect to those financial statements. And we also issue 2 reports relating to the expenditure of federal awards. Now, as a result of the pandemic, the district received a significant amount of federal funds, whether through the PDE or through the local IU. There was about $13 million of money that was spent that came around as a direct result of the stimulus bills that were enacted in 20 and 21. There is an additional $53 million, as you should be well aware of ESSER 3 funds that will be available to be spent over the next 2 years. There are obviously limitations on what they can be spent on, but this year there was about $13 million worth of expenditures that we were required to test and provide an opinion on whether the district complied with the requirements that the Office of Management and Budget have put out with respect to the expenditure of those funds. And so our report, which is included in the packet at the very end, indicates that our review of those expenditures found no problems with or findings with respect to the expenditure of those awards. And so, again, that was a unmodified or clean opinion. There are no findings to be reported. If you compare, if you look at the financial statements, there is a section up front that I'd like to point out to you. It's called the Management Discussion and Analysis section. It's a required portion of the report. It is prepared by Craig and his staff, and it goes into detail as to the various variances between the various sets of financial statements that are included in this report, compares prior year expenditures and revenues to current year. It also compares them to budget. It gives an outlook on things such as capital asset changes, long-term debt, and as you well know, there's been significant capital asset activity and long-term debt activity. During the year, the district issued two sets of bonds, or one set of bonds, one note during the actual fiscal year of 21, and then right after the end of the year, they issued another one. 2 of those 3, the bigger 2, were for capital projects. The third one was for refunding to gain a little bit of debt service relief, about $100,000 or so. So there's a lot going on in the district, and you're well aware of that. All of that information is laid out by Craig in his management's discussion analysis section. So I encourage you, the report is 67 pages long. If you want to read it, read the about 15 pages that are the MD&A. You'll understand what's going on with respect to the district. But again, at the, while our opinion doesn't cover the MD&A, we read it to make sure that it's consistent. So again, the results of our audit, a clean opinion on the financial statements, no findings. And I'll offer it up for any questions if anybody on the board has any. Okay, well, one last thing. It's been a tough year pandemic-wise. I did want to point out, the yeoman's job that Craig did in working with us over the last couple of weeks to get this done. So my thanks to him and his staff. He does a tremendous job, and quite frankly, you're pretty lucky to have him. So with that said, I'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you,
Good night,
Mr.
folks.
McGowan. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Craig Rogers, he just emphasized what we already know. We have a gem in you, and thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. Before we call tonight's meeting to order, Dr. McGarry, will you please outline the public's participation procedure, sir?
Yes, as many know, we've moved to both in-person meetings and we've continued our virtual meetings, and we've adjusted our communication and engagement process. First, I'll begin by those who are in attendance. The board will allow anyone who's in attendance to speak first or comment first on a particular report. Earlier this evening, if you were going to speak on general comments, you were to sign in by 7:30. At the general comment portion of the meeting, your name will be called, and you can come up to the microphone, provide your name, address, and make your comment. During the meeting, each report that is presented, if you're in person, you can come up to the microphone, provide your name, address, and the specific report that you're commenting on. And the board will take your comments into consideration before taking any action. Again, those who are in person will hear your comments first. That's our process that we have in place now. Anyone who is tuning in virtually this evening, there's two ways that you can provide your comments to board comments at upperdarbysd.org or at 610-789-7200, extension 2000. Please provide your name and address and the specific report that you'd like to comment on. The board will read your comment and take it into consideration. It'll become part of the record before they take any action this evening. Again, just please make sure that if you come to the microphone or if you phone in or email your comment, please provide your name, address, and the specific report you are commenting on this evening. Again, for our meetings tonight, board action meetings, it's comment only. Our committee meetings, for those who are new tonight, committee meetings is where there's a question and answer. Board President Brown, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry. Please feel free to revisit that at your discretion throughout the evening. The regular in-person and virtual meeting of the Upper Darby School District Board of School Directors will please come to order. There was a closed session on November 23rd, 2021 from 5:30 to 6:11 p.m. for real estate matters, and this evening from 5:30 p.m. until 7:12 p.m. for matters to be discussed within the limitations for closed deliberations as prescribed by Pennsylvania Act 93 of 1998. For this evening's meeting, there were personnel and litigation matters. I would like to note that all board members previously polled tonight are still present. The district posted this evening's agenda to board docs at least 24 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting. Is there a motion to approve that previously posted agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. The agenda has been moved and seconded. Are there any amendments to offer? Okay. The agenda has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The minutes of the combined work session / regular meeting of November 9th, 2021 is in the hands of each board member, has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The report of the secretary, please. Director Williams.
The report of the secretary is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The report of the treasurer, please, Director Neal.
Thank you, Board President Brown. The report of the treasurer is in the hands of each board member, has been made available to the public, and move for its adoption. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. We will now have the report of the student representatives, Randy Lane and Majabin Tapater.
Good evening, guys. Today, the building of reports is Bywood Elementary School and Upper Darby High School. Bywood Elementary School celebrated Thanksgiving by creating paper turkeys to help decorate the school. Students and staff have hung their turkeys outside of their rooms. Each turkey's feather lists thankful sentiments by the student or staff member. Furthermore, one of the upcoming events for this month is Bywood's Parent Book Club. All parents are welcome to participate. Bywood is also having Royal Rewards and Scholars for Dollars. The Royal Rewards program consists of students following the 3 Bs, being safe, respectful, and responsible. Every Friday, a winner is chosen. Staff and teachers are also able to participate. Scholars for Dollars is for students who go above and beyond with the 3 Bs. A scholar winner can receive a special prize. Bywood also just hosted their Fluency Night for their first and second graders and their families. It was a wonderful night prepared by Bywood's reading team, first grade teachers and second grade teachers. The students were given a book and a bag for coming to the Fluency Night. Bywood expresses their love for sharing the art of reading with their students and families. Ultimately, Bywood has had an amazing month and they're ready for more adventure. I'm going to hand it off to Randy.
Hello. Upper Darby High School has kept up its momentum for fun events that students can enjoy and families. Before Thanksgiving break, the high school took advantage of the short week and decided to have a Spirit Week. In honor of homecoming on November 22nd, students were asked to dress up in the colors of their grade's elements. Students came ready representing either fire, water, earth, or air. Homecoming King and Queen winners were Alonzo Good and Michaela McKinney. The class of 2022 also won Best Overall Performance, which was a great way to start off Spirit Week. On Tuesday, the school spirit continued for Decades Day and Wednesday for Pajama Day. Before Thanksgiving, UDHS hosted the Nutcracker. Many families and young children were able to enjoy this peaceful ballet. Upper Darby varsity football team had their annual Thanksgiving game against Haverford High School. The game marked applause. The game marked 100 years of this tradition. With an ending score of 28-21, the football team proved that Upper Darby High School is filled with talented, hard-working Royals. This ends our report for this month. Thank you all for allowing us to share all this amazing news about our schools and our accomplishments.
Thank you very much. Majabin and Randy, thank you for your excellent report. You always are well prepared and provide a wealth of information, so thank you. The budgeted personnel and enrollment reports have been made available to the board and the public and are recorded as part of the record. No vote is required. We will now have the report of the superintendent by Dr. Dan McGarry.
I just want to say good evening, members of the board of school directors, administrators, staff, students. I see that we have the mayor and Ms. Dobbins with us today. Thanks for being here. As was already mentioned, and to our students, as per the School Code of 1949, Section 401, our school board held its annual reorganization meeting. And I would like to congratulate our board president, Edward Brown, again. Ed, thank you. Look forward to working with you in leadership as we move the district forward. And to Vice President Don Fields, I'm not so sure if you're going to be excited about this or not, but good luck, and we look forward to the Saturday and Sunday phone calls, Don. Congratulations. And to all the board members who were reelected, I know the administration looks forward to continuing the success that we've had, and I want to thank you and congratulations as well. I also want to recognize Board Member Curry on winning the special election for state representative.
Board Member Curry, as you take on this new responsibility, we have this saying in Upper Darby, when you're a royal for life, and I know that your kids have gone through, you didn't have that benefit of going through here, but now that you've been a board member, you're part of the Upper Darby family for life, and wherever you go, you need our help and support. I hope you give the same. I know that you will to the school district, and best of luck to you in your new endeavors, so congratulations. On a side note, I wish the singers were still here and you could pass this along. I'm not looking forward to a winter wonderland anytime soon. So please pass along that we don't want any snow over the next couple of months. I think the song was great, but I'm not so sure I'm excited about snow as we go through the next month. So tell Mrs. Bengley I said that. Board President Brown, for my report this evening, I'm going to provide a brief update. I'm not going to read every word slide by slide on the state of the district and our plan to utilize the American Rescue Plan Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief Plan, known as ARP-ESSER funding. Essentially, these are the goals for the district that were my goals this year that I put out, and I can basically spit them out to you right now. It's about recruiting, retaining the best staff that we can, and highlighting the success of our teachers and our administrators in the school district. It's also providing an opportunity where we celebrate student growth, student learning opportunities. It's also making sure that our priority in our school district is our elementary school students, that we really want to have a very strong elementary foundation in our school district. It's also important for us that we not only fix our facilities, improve our facilities, but that we make our learning environments inclusive for all, and that we're reviewing all of our policies, all of our procedures, not to show what they do for us, but we're reviewing them to show the barriers that we create, what we are preventing, and the success that we're preventing amongst our students in our community. So really, the final goal is reviewing what we do here that prevents rather than promotes our own success as we do our equity work. So this is just slide by slide, highlights of opportunities, what we're providing with professional development. This is what some school districts take on, try to take on in 1 year. This is what we've been taking on, they take on in several years. We've been trying to take this on in 1 or 2 years, and it's under the leadership of this board and this administration that we've been so successful. A new evaluation system, training our teachers in foundations, an elementary school reading program. We've partnered with the AIM Institute in Manayunk on the best instructional reading processes, putting targeted, goal-setting, targeted training in for our teachers, new student engagement strategies, new instructional outcomes, partnering with our teachers union. We are continuing with our implementation of our elementary coaches. We have content-specific elementary school coaches in the district that are focused on science, literature. We also now have a new art, theater, and music coach for our elementary schools. And a point of pride for us is that in our offices, all of our offices in central office, partnering with local universities, colleges and universities, whether it's partnering with the best professional development opportunities, but also cohorts of our teachers going through to further their education, partnering with Cabrini, partnering with St. Joe's University, partnering with Immaculata, local universities that we can partner with, also with Newman University, to highlight what we do here as a school district. Further professional development that we've done. Many of us are restorative practice trained, and we're trained trainers in restorative practice as a school district. We'll continue to do that. We have trauma-informed supports in our schools, equity training. Obviously, we have PBIS. We've also implemented social emotional learning curriculums and suicide awareness curriculums in the school district. On this slide, you'll see a link to threat assessment training. I know, God forbid, the incident in Michigan is on the hearts and minds of everybody right now, but here in Upper Darby School District, we have to go through training. We've gone through threat assessment training with our administrators and our crisis teams in our buildings. We've also partnered with the district attorney's office on assemblies, discussing the perils of social media. We provide that professional development and training to our families. We've also done it at our high schools, our middle schools, and in partnership with our elementary schools, we have provided that same level of support to our elementary schools. Coming up soon, we're going to be doing an assembly on Title IX and sexual harassment for our middle school and high school students. We're partnering with Ms. Kelly Hodge and someone from the Department of Homeland Security to provide a TEDx series, a conversation with our high school students that will be filmed here on the stage, and then the best of those 3 interactions with our students from the high school will then be shared with our middle school students on appropriate interactions with one another. Next slide. Some examples of our community engagement. We provide a lot of opportunities, but these are just some highlights of what we've done this year. We've done every fall with Mark Manley and I go through what our safety protocols are, lock-in, lockdown, lockout strategies here in the school district. We did an update this past fall. We do it every single year. Most recently, we've also done parent information nights on how to be a better parent, how to be a parent with your children, with psychologist Ron McGinn, who's worked here in the school district. We've also done information nights. We've partnered with the mayor. We've done Tim Bernhardt, Chief Sawyer. We did a presentation on parent night on basically fire prevention, how to walk to and from school, safe bikeways, bike paths to school, just in general, being a team in the community, talking about community engagement. We've also done a parent information night most recently on retirement workshop here in the school district to help our parents engage on retirement and how to plan for that. We have frequent meetings with the Upper Darby Police Department, Upper Darby Fire Department, local EMS, principals on safety concerns in our schools and the community. We've already had 3 meetings this past year on best practices and what to do. We've reviewed incidents such as the incident in Texas this past year, how we can relocate our students, how we can safely, effectively keep our schools safe and communicate with our community. We've also done safety meetings with our principals in all the non-public schools. I reached out to Chief Sawyer and Tim Bernhardt, and we hosted an event here this year already in October on a training with our non-public schools, because after we've looked at what's occurred, we know that they're in our community, how can we partner with each other? And so we had a professional development conversation in October. On December 15th, we'll be doing a tabletop exercise here, our principals and all the local non-public schools, on what to do in an emergency situation, because there might be times when we have to partner with each other. Again, community engagement and outreach. You see here, we've also done presentations on how we can promote safe pathways to school, whether it's through Mr. Fields and conversations on our safe bikeways to school, pathways to school, but also with Marvin and Craig and the team publishing safe walk paths to school, walking ways to school. As we do our facilities work, we want to make sure that our walking pathways to school are safe as well. Community engagement continued. We have a Safe to Say program, and you can see a link on our website to the Safe to Say program about where to go if you need help or a friend of yours needs help. It's an anonymous tip line that we monitor, basically 24/7 and support with local law enforcement and the 911 call center. We have speak-up sessions and have had speak-up sessions at Beverly Hills, Drexel Hill, and the high school. Parents can come and meet with other students and hear about very serious topics that are in a situation where it's not embarrassing or humiliating for students or adults or parents, and you could talk about what kids are really going through in a safe, protective way. We've also had a summer guest reading program this summer. It was a goal of mine to have a one-book kind of a read. We launched it this past summer. We're going to keep that going. We didn't have tremendous buy-in, but it's something you start, and over a period of time, we'll keep growing with that community read each summer so we can practice our reading skills. We have Title I parent involvement. We have immigration and refugee resettlement meetings, adult EL classes. This past year, we moved from our McGarry tour, as Damien likes to call it, Damien Moore Savage and Aranda like to call it. We had 8 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the morning coffee sessions here at the high school and throughout all of our schools in the district for parents and staff to meet with administration, and if board members could make it, to talk about the state of the district and questions and concerns. We then flipped that. We did another 14 hours through November where we met with every single home and school in the school district to engage with our community members, with students. A lot of our calls, Board President Brown, I know you attended every one of those meetings. So we've heard from students, we heard from parents, we heard from staff on all of those listening tour sessions, and we get great feedback. And we'll continue to do that in the spring. We'll open it up again for another 14 and 14 morning sessions and afternoon sessions there. And obviously just facilities improvements and overall improvements. We've refinished gym floors. These are little details, but it's a big deal. Refinishing gym floors at the secondary schools and the kindergarten center. If you walk into the kindergarten center now, you'll see the new logo. The gym floor has been redone in that area. New band uniforms, athletic uniforms, a new band trailer and truck that sits right out in front here that this board and this administration has fought to put into place. Athletic fields at the high school, athletic fields at BH and DH hopefully coming soon. Plans for a new middle school. We're looking at a new elementary school. Again, think about the efforts that are being made in the update in the state of the district, the plans to move this district and this community forward. New windows, bathrooms, camera systems for safety and security, safety vestibules at the secondary level, new macadam and blacktop, water fill stations, new gym pads and paint, and a plan for new playground equipment throughout the school district. This is just, and I won't read all these on this slide, this is just examples of how we're going to be spending some of our ARP money. I'll give a second for you to read that. Highlights, we're looking at assistant principals in our elementary schools, which will be a big deal. Obviously, continuing with our supports of technology. As we've come out of the pandemic, we've learned more and more how important the technology is. So this funding that's coming is coming at a good time. It will fund our infrastructure for the next couple of years, updating our internet, and obviously, like I said, our hardware. We're also implementing a program called Reading Apprenticeship that was brought into the district and was difficult to financially sustain, but we're going to be training well over 400 teachers in the district on a reading approach. It's called metacognitive conversations and how to talk to the text when you're reading, called Reading Apprenticeship. Again, this will be published after tonight, but I just wanted to give a state of the district just to show how much is going into the school district, not just during the pandemic, but there's been a lot of work going on. We are also going to partner with someone just to do a review and audit of our high school and elementary school schedules. We obviously will continue our restorative justice training. We're looking to put in new seats here in the Performing Arts Center, new floors here in the Performing Arts Center. We're doing a guidance audit. We're hopefully bringing a company to audit our guidance departments and our process and procedures to see how we can do a better job on college and career planning for our students. We're continuing with CGRC, hopefully Child Guidance Resource Center, looking to partner with them, continuing with trauma-informed care. And again, more importantly, we're going to revamp our libraries and turn them into multimedia centers, hopefully, throughout the school district. Also looking for after-school tutoring as part of the set-aside money that we have to use, and closing the learning loss. Go ahead, Tim. I promise we're getting close to the end here. We'll have summer programming, not only for remediation coming out of the pandemic, but we're also going to put programming in for art, theater, music, all of our programs to enrich. There are a lot of students that were really strong students, really engaged, and we're going to push those students. It's not just for closing the gap in learning loss, but we're also obligated to push those students and help those students excel that do well and have continued to do well during the pandemic. We're looking for updated Chromebooks, replacement of prioritized HVAC systems, and obviously prioritize window replacements. And if there are any questions from the board, you can take a seat. I'll certainly answer them. But again, this is just an update on the state of the district, and I just wanted to remind everybody here on the board all that we're accomplishing. And it's an update that I try to give every single year. And I want to thank the board and the public for trusting us, and I want to thank Craig and the administration, Rhonda, Mark, everybody behind me, Chris, Greg, Christine, Ed, John. I know Wendy couldn't be here tonight, but the team does an unbelievable job. It's a team effort to move this school district forward, and I just wanted to say thank you to the public, to the board, and to the administration. Board President Brown, as you already stated, the updates for the board meetings will be made public pretty soon, and I know that we'll make any posting and updates if there's any changes to liaison positions. And with that said, this concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Dr. McGarry. It's always great to see it all together, all the wonderful things we're doing under your leadership, so thank you for that. We will now have an update on the November 23rd, 2021 Education and Pupil Services Committee meeting. Mrs. Mitchell will read the summary.
Thank you, President Brown. The Education and Pupil Services Committee met on November 23rd. We had 4 agenda items. The middle school world language Mandarin pilot, there is board action on that this evening. Secondary world languages course sequences, there's also board action on that tonight. Number 3, an executive function program implementation, board action is for tonight as well. And an informational item on our COVID-19 vaccine clinic, which will be happening closer to winter break. There was one public comment, and if you would like to read more information on what we discussed at the committee meetings, you can find it on Board Docs, which is under the School Board tab on our website. That concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you, Director Mitchell. We will now have an update on the November 23rd, 2021 Finance and Operations Committee meeting. Vice President Fields will read the summary.
Thank you, Board President Brown. The Finance and Operations Committee meeting met November 23rd at 6 p.m. Summary, there was a technology update that was just informational, presented by the Director of Technology. There was requiring board action, there was a discussion of capital improvements for the upcoming year. There was requests to name a school district facility. This will also require board action. The 2022-2023 budget, preliminary budget versus accelerated opt-out was discussed. This will also require board action. There was one public comment. The speaker commented on the facilities presentation and asked if the district did a public safety review during design phase. These are all captured in detail on board docs and can be reviewed at your leisure.
Thank you. The Instruction and Curriculum Report. Dr. Curry.
Thank you, President Brown. The Instruction and Curriculum Report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying aye opposed and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The Personnel Report, Director Mitchell.
The personnel report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. Before I move for its adoption, I would like to offer a moment of silence for Maureen McGuire, who was a special education assistant at Primos. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge our retirees, and we wish you a safe and healthy retirement. The next thing I would like to do is to recognize those staff members who have a change in professional status. Staff who's going from temporary to permanent professional staff. Congratulations, and we look forward to many years of service with you and in the district. And now I move for the adoption as stated.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The Policy Report, Director Desnoyers.
Thank you, President Brown. There is one policy up for a first reading this evening. It is Policy 006, Meetings, which has undergone several rounds of revisions this year. The update is to simply address conflicting language. The language is being changed to indicate that school board members will receive preliminary meeting agendas at least 3 days prior to meetings and will receive final agendas at least 1 day prior to the meeting. That's the only change to Policy 006, and that's the only policy up for a first reading this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So no vote is required because that's a first reading, so thank you. I think that takes us to the Supplies Report. Director Warsavage.
Thank you, President Brown. The Supplies Report has been made available is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move forward with its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The Facilities, Use of Facilities and Donation Report, Vice President Fields.
Thank you, Board President Brown. The Facilities Report, the Use of Facilities Report, and the Donation Report are in the hands of each board member and have been made available to the public. I move for their adoption.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying aye opposed and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. I think that takes us to the Finance and Budget Report. Director, Dr. Haig.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance and Budget Report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board?
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Mr. Brown. I always like to reiterate for everyone's information that this clean bill of health, of course, doesn't change the fact that we're very significantly underfunded. There's a big difference between managing your budget well and having a budget that's actually sufficient. And I want to, first of all, just reiterate the thanks and the praise for Mr. Rogers, who really does an amazing job, and we are so very lucky to have him, and I know the board is all aware of how lucky we are. And I just wanted to share something it's on page 18 of the financial statements document that's on board docs with the approval of this report. And it says, recent reports show the district remains one of the most underfunded districts in the state. The hold harmless legislation leaves the district underfunded in excess of $20 million for the 2021-2022 school year. Furthermore, additional studies based on the adequacy gap have the district listed with the 5th highest adequacy shortfall, totaling $77.8 million. So that's on page 18 of the financial statements document that's available on board docs. And just want to be totally clear about the position we're in.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. That's very important. Thank you. Are there any other comments from the board? Hearing none, are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The collateral assignment reports, we're going to redo this in January, but we'll see if we have last reports, or December reports, I should say. So we'll start with the Delaware County Community College. Director Curry.
Thank you, President Brown. There's no information from DCCC this time.
Thank you very much. The DCIU, Director Mitchell.
Thank you, President Brown. We had our December Board of Directors meeting on December 1st. You probably noticed in some of the reports different contracts with Upper Darby School District, crowd strike, 500 hours of psychological service. Honestly, Upper Darby kept coming up in our reports. I actually had to call Craig to make sure everything was on the up and up. So basically, we just approved opportunities for support for educational community partners and families, grants, contracts, leases, appointments, and services. And we approved some different things to enhance student learning and work experience and support future educators. It was a pretty brief meeting this month. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Director Mitchell. The Legislative Council report, I would usually give that when Director Neal did a great job when he was available to do that, but that meeting is tomorrow morning, so I'll have a report at the next meeting. But thank you, Director Neal, for all your hard work in doing that. Home and School, Director Warsavage.
No report from me at this time unless Dr. McGarry has anything to add.
Okay.
I just want to say again to the board members that can make it, to the administrators, to Mrs. Buford for helping and joining all those meetings. I think the home and school meetings have been effective. We have a district home and school meeting coming up hopefully before the holiday. Damien, I'll let you know about it. But we're going to continue to reach out and keep casting that net and bringing people in. So I appreciate you and your attendance and all the administrators and the board members that come out and the parents for being engaged. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. PSBA, do we have Director Desnoyers, do you have any information for PSBA right now?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. I think there will be some information about PSBA and its future plans since it's no longer connected to NSBA. So I do know that some detailed information towards that is coming. That's being worked. So hope to have that information soon. Policy liaisons, Directors Desnoyers and Dr. Neal.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Communications, Directors Dr. Haig and Dr. Mitchell.
No report this month, just I hope the community is still receiving the monthly reports. If you're watching from home and you'd like to receive them, you can sign up on the community bulletin board on the website. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that takes us to old business. Is there any old business from board members? Okay, seeing none, new business. So I'm going to talk about Director Gina H. Curry for a minute under new business. And I know she has some words, but I'm going to start. Gina H. Curry has served this district and board since 2017 and has served this community for many years prior to that. I had the pleasure of meeting her and working with her many years ago when our children were very young and we served together on Highland Park's Home and School Association. Thus began a career in service to the district and subsequently our children. Her primary touch points that she has been a staunch advocate for has been diversity and equity. This has allowed the district and board to lean on her wise counsel and expertise in this area. Her passion and desire to serve has not wavered over the years, and she will carry that into her next challenge and endeavor as an elected state representative. It is fortunate for us that she has stood on the front lines with us as school board directors and advocated for fair funding, so she will understand when we expect her to champion this cause for our children from her new platform. We are grateful as a board to have served with her, and we will pick up the mantle and continue to champion diversity and equity in her absence. Thank you, Gina, for all you've done, and good luck in your future endeavors. Until we serve again, Ed Brown. And on behalf of the entire board, we have a plaque that we'd like to give you.
Wow. Well, I know leading up to today that it has been very mixed, thank you, mixed emotions for me as I am moving on to my next journey. And watching my fellow school board members be sworn in tonight was again a privilege to see all the hard work that goes into this very high-paid job of a school board director. Haha, that was a joke for the public. But I just want to leave everybody with a few things. And I want to thank, first of all, my family, because any of you who are in this room and at this table know how hard each and every one of us work to help the Upper Darby School District to be what it is. And I want to thank my family for being so willing to give me to this space for the time that they did. And so I just thank them. I know they were supposed to be arriving, but I think they're on their way. But I just thank my husband and my children for that. Thank you. I also want to thank my friends. Some of you are in the audience. Thank you for coming out tonight, because I know it's late and I know you're ready to go home. And I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you here, for everything that you do and your commitment to the children and the families here at Upper Darby School District. As I said, this time for me, in my winning of my election and coming up to this point has been a time of mixed emotions for me. Starting out with grassroots activism, fighting and advocating, and really belonging to a board of 9 has been such a training ground for me. And so it's been eye-opening. It has prepared me, and it has continued to build me and grow me up for my next space. And I thank you all for that. I want to leave you with some encouragement as you continue to fight for the children and families here in Upper Darby, and as I move on to do the same in another role, that we're no different. We are all, no matter what our title is, we are all humans that are fighting for our students, for our future students, and for people who are moving here into the township to start their families. And that's really important for us to know. For those who are watching and for those who are considering coming to be a part of this action. And so I have a call to action tonight. I saw a quote that said, Vince Lombardi said, fatigue is for the cowards. Fatigue is for the cowards. And so I know all of us get very tired, but we need to remember what we're fighting for. And so as I leave you, I have a call to action. I want to make sure that you all know that I not leave you in vain, that I will think of you every day as I move into my new space as state representative. And here are a few things, just quickly, that mean a lot to me from my favorite poet, Maya Angelou. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. I've learned that people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You can practice any virtue erratically, but nothing consistently without courage. And lastly, all great achievements require time. Thank you for the time. And I look forward to working with all of you. I work very hard and I try to play harder. I'm grateful for life and I live it. I believe life loves the liver of it. I live it. Thank you.
All right, 2 more hours to go. We are now at the time for the public hearing. We will call on the residents who signed in to address the board in the order in which they signed in, followed by emailed and phone comments. We would ask that you come forward, give your name and address, and present your comments in the 3-minute time limit. In accordance with policies 903, the time allotted for general comments, both in person and submitted comments, will not exceed 1 hour. So I was given this, the paper, and no one signed in to speak, but are there any phoned-in comments? Mrs. Director Buford, I'm sorry, Mrs. Buford?
There are no public comments on our document.
Okay. Is there a motion for the adjournment of the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for being here.